What's up, my people out there? It's your girl, FutureDrLen, back with another video. Thank you for tuning in, and also thank you to those of you who viewed my first video, my introduction to the world as FutureDrLen, and thank you to those of you who have subscribed to my channel. So I'm official now. I have some subscribers. So without further ado, I'm just gonna dive right into my story. I don't want to keep you long. So yeah, first and foremost, as it relates to getting accepted into a clinical psychology PhD program, first and foremost, I believe that my steps were ordained by God. So God ordained my steps from the time I was in college to the time that I applied and interviewed for a spot at a clinical psychology program and was accepted. So getting this PhD is tied to my purpose. So yeah, it was definitely ordained by God. And so as far as my steps are concerned, the first step on that journey was going to college and majoring in psychology. And as you can see, I am rocking my Spelman College paraphernalia. That's where I went to college, undergrad. My major was psychology. And, I really thought that I would be a clinical psychologist, but I kind of veered away from it for whatever reason. I think it was largely due to the fact that I was like, okay, well, I didn't have the best boundaries at the time. So I was like, well, when you work in a field like that, you are helping people with their problems and it can be emotionally taxing. And fear settled in and I was like, well, how am I going to, have a balance with that kind of work? Because I, was an empath and I'm still an empath, but I have since learned how to have boundaries and how to practice self-care. So I veered away from that and I decided to be pre-med. Don't know what I was thinking. But y'all, I struggle with those pre-med courses, just to be, transparent. And as a result, my undergraduate cumulative GPA suffered. My psychology, and my major was psychology, and my major GPA was pretty solid, but my undergraduate cumulative GPA suffered as a result of being pre-med. And along the way, as I was taking those pre-med courses, I had a professor who's a Spelman alum herself, and she was a mentor to me as well. And she pulled me to the side and she was like, hey, because she saw what I was going through, she was like, regardless of what path you take, you should start conducting research. So I started doing just that. I took her advice and, never underestimate the power of a mentor. If you don't get anything else that I'm saying to you in terms of what it took for me to get into a clinical psychology PhD program, never underestimate the power of mentorship, because by her planting those seeds, I was able to switch gears and get research experience, which is helpful if you want to, apply to PhD programs and strengthen your chances of getting into a PhD program, especially a clinical psychology PhD program, because they're so competitive to get into. So as a result of that, having that conversation with her, I started conducting research as an undergraduate and really enjoyed it. And that was my introduction to research. And so while I was in undergrad, I was able to get some publications underneath my belt, and post undergrad, I got some publications underneath my belt. And I was in the same department, the neuroscience department at Morehouse School of Medicine, which is right across the street from Spelman College, and got that biomedical research experience. And so I graduated from undergrad and got an entry-level position as a research interviewer. And that was my introduction to clinical research, which I fell in love with. And why? It's because I had that passion for medicine, right? But I didn't necessarily want to be an MD. So, working in clinical research allowed me to fulfill that passion that I have for medicine, in addition to fulfilling the passion that I had to want to work with patients as well as conduct research. So, along the way, I knew that if I wanted to further my education, that I needed to get an above average GPA. And so I decided to apply to a master's degree program, and I decided to apply to a master's degree in public health program. Well, I applied to 3 programs to be more specific, and I got into, the first program I got into was Emory University School, not Emory University School of Medicine, that's where I used to work, Emory-Rollins School of Public Health, which is an excellent school. And I was able to maintain and graduate with an above average GPA. And I knew that I would need to show a prospective admissions committee that I could obtain an above average GPA to strengthen my chances of getting into a PhD program. So I did just that. And along the way, I had this MPH, and I didn't have a job after I graduated. So I was like, okay, I need a job. Still had a passion for research, but wanted to put this MPH to use. So I got a fellowship after applying for 2 years for a fellowship at the CDC. And I was in the Division of Violence Prevention, and was able to get that high level experience at the CDC. So I had all these credentials that helped to strengthen my application when it was time for me to apply for a clinical psychology PhD program. So I say all this to say that, yes, you can, graduate with an undergraduate GPA, cumulative GPA that's not the best, but it is important to strengthen your application in other areas so that having those, strong credentials, those other strong credentials can help you to increase your chances of getting into a clinical psychology program. So number 1, my steps were ordained by God. Number 2, I had research experience, both biomedical and clinical research experience, and public health research experience. While I was at the CDC, I conducted public health research. And also, I had the publications underneath my belt, and I was able to maintain an above average GPA while I was at Emory-Rollins School of Public Health and Emory University Rollins School of Public Health, and graduate with an above average GPA. So I hope my story inspires people to never give up on your goals, your purpose, whatever the case may be, because it is possible to get into a clinical psychology PhD program despite not having the best undergraduate cumulative GPA. My GPA in my major was solid, but the undergraduate GPA was not, cumulative GPA was not the best. So I'm going to end the video here, and this is part 1 of my story. I'll upload the video for part 2 because I don't want the video to be too long. So I'll upload part 2 because there's more to this story. There's some other things that I did that I feel like were helpful in helping me to get accepted to a clinical psychology PhD program. So thank you all so much for watching. And yeah, I hope my story inspires people to never give up on your goals and your purpose. And yeah, be on the lookout for the next video. And hope you all are having a good day. And yeah, see you next time. Peace.